country as a state. And we derive a lot of money on that. 5% of our, 5% when this, in 2000, when they passed the legislation that 5% should go to substance abuse. And then started taking it to take care of these other issues, which are very important, but have nothing to do with substance abuse. We are one of the biggest problems in one of the smallest states per capita for substance abuse. And had that money played its role where people needed help for a number of years, but had no place to go and nothing to do, so they just keep going back out and going back out and getting themselves more and more affected. And then once this thing reaches an epidemic level, as it is today, we're going to try to stop it and fund it. And then that's how we always solve our problems.
Thank you. Next question will be from Liz Mark to Joe Casey, followed by a response from James Gray.
And this is another question that's been heard by state representative candidates. Do you support the raising of minimum wage, and what are some of the implications that you would consider?
Yeah, well, so I do support the rising of minimum wage, the raising of minimum wage, and this is the reason. I'll tell you, when I graduated from high school in 1983, my first job was $8.35 an hour. It was 34, 35 years ago, right? That was the lowest I ever made, 30-something years ago, with a health care benefit and retirement benefit. Kids are graduating, going out into the workforce, and certainly here in Rochester, where our economic development lately has been retail, and lots of it, and those people are adults. I know that those places are open during the school hours, so there's certainly adults working in there, and what they're being paid, we certainly should look at a minimum wage that's fair, that people can live on, pay their rent, and go to work. I don't like this kind of thing, I'll tell you that.
It gets to it, Gray. Mr. Gray.
Minimum wage is a very touchy issue to some people. Bernie Sanders and his, livable wage. Right now, when I've gone out and asked the businesses here in Rochester, what they're paying, even the Rochester Fair for people to, park cars or take tickets, they were giving $10. I've had people contact me and say, I have a child with disabilities. I'm afraid that if we raise that minimum wage to $15, that they're not going to be able to afford to hire my child. I've had other people come and talk to me about restaurants that have these little devices on there where you can type in your order, you can call the waitress when you need it, you can go pay the bill. That's going to happen more and more as we raise this minimum wage. People come and tell me that out on the West Coast, that is more and more prevalent in areas that have been forced because of economic conditions to raise those wages.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Gray. All right, that will conclude the media panel question portion of this evening's forum. We will now transition to questions from the audience, and there were 2 questions submitted. So similar to the last round, we will ask the question of each candidate and allow a 1-minute response. The first question, which will be addressed to Mr. Casey, followed by a response by Mr. Gray, reads, how will each candidate handle the responsibility of their current employment while balancing the time it takes to be a state senator? This comes from Josh.
Well, I'll tell you, I've been balancing things my whole life, number one. And I am employed, all right, as a lot of our legislators are employed. I have the opportunity to work from my house and to work on my own time. Of course, I went to my employer and asked if it was okay for me to run for the state legislature, and I told him that I would take care of the duties that I am responsible for. I am a business development representative. I reach out to businesses all throughout New England to entice in the hopes that they will hire construction electrical contractors from the IBEW. If I happen to slip in, you know, New Hampshire's also a great place to do business, that's not gonna hurt anything. I think my actual job will benefit my position as a state rep. I will be there at the state where I will, when I'm supposed to be there, on committee and on the day of the votes.
Thank you. Mr. Casey?
I think it's Mr. Gray now, Mr. Casey.
Mr. Gray, my
But
apologies.
that's okay. I am retired. I serve right now as a state legislature because I had the additional time. I was asked not only to serve on the election law as the vice chairman, I was also asked to serve on children and family law because of my involvement in some of those issues. I know what it takes to be a senator. I have talked to senators that have preceded me and know that at least one of them has talked to me at length about how his business suffered because he was there. I have problems with a person who has, you know, working for an industry which is also funding their campaign. So those kind of issues are out there that we need to make sure that our senator can be an independent voice and has the time to actually represent us. Constituent services have no bounds. They can come anytime.
Thank you. All right, I apologize. There were actually a few more questions in my folder that came in through email, so we have a few more. The next question will be addressed to Mr. Gray with a response by Mr. Casey, and it reads, Planned Parenthood funding is a contentious issue in the state. Would you vote to defund the organization in New Hampshire?
Planned Parenthood is an issue because in the North Country right now, there is no other organization that's offering the services for various women's issues and men's issues. So part of the problem that we come up with is their support of abortion, vice their support of other services. Like our gubernatorial candidate, I think that we can separate those issues. We can make it such that we are not funding the abortion issues and find a different supplier to supply those other needs that are in the North Country especially. And so the Planned Parenthood issue can be solved by not funding abortions and finding another organization to provide those other needed services.
Mr. Casey?
Yeah, so I am a strong supporter of Planned Parenthood. And, you know, Mr. Gray's right. I mean, you know, the big issue is the abortion issue. And, you know, I look at all of the great things that Planned Parenthood does for women and in our people, you know. And I look at my daughter and my wife, and my wife, and all these other females, and all the things that they go through. And I can tell you right now, they do not want me making any decisions on their health whatsoever. And I will never make decisions on their health. That is up to them, and they can do it 100% on their own.
All right, next question, and I'll direct this one to Mr. Casey with a response by Mr. Gray. What would you do to generate more manufacturing jobs?
Well, so manufacturing, right? So you know, we talked about infrastructure. We have to improve our infrastructure so we can move forward. Right? So I am a big dreamer. You know, I follow technology. I follow all kinds of things, new innovation and whatnot. When my guys needed to learn new skills, we went we went right to work with my employers, myself, and we built a facility, a state-of-the-art facility to train them in new technologies, and it has paid off. We have practical solar installation, practical instrumentation programs, all this stuff that we put together to get these people working. There are all kinds of initiatives with microgrid and new battery supply systems that are going to be coming out. And these are the types of businesses that we need to attract here. Number one, they're exciting, and the kids would love to work for companies like that. Number two.
Mr. Gray.
Again, this question will go back to the three most important things for us. The healthcare cost, cost of energy, and the taxes. Okay? Those three things, if we can reduce those, we're going to make New Hampshire a more attractive place for businesses to locate. One of the things that I have done is ask the Department of Employment and Security to look about having job fairs for college students who are going to school outside of New Hampshire. Because once they make the decision to go to a college outside of New Hampshire, I believe we've lost them then. Because the placement that they'll go to is at that college. And if that college is in Georgia or California, it's not New Hampshire companies they're interviewing with. It's companies from around that area or in that geographical location. They tell me, well, we don't have phone numbers, we can't track the students. That doesn't mean that we can't advertise these kind of job fairs and have kids sign up. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that will conclude the audience question portion of this evening's forum. We will now transition to the closing remarks. We will now hear closing remarks from each candidate as determined by the flip of a coin before the Senate forum. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to address the audience. Again, our official timekeeper will keep time. Based on the flip of the coin, Mr. Gray will go first, followed by Mr. Casey.
Since my retirement, I have become more and more involved in the city of Rochester. Oftentimes, as a city councilman, we're assigned to 2 committees or so. You will often find me at committees that I'm not on. Why? It's because I'm interested. I want to know what the background is. I don't want to just read the few notes that somebody put in front of me from a public works committee meeting or some other committee. I want to know what went on. I want to be able to give my input. And I've taken that same attitude and same enthusiasm to the legislature. That's why I was offered that second committee on children and family law, because I am a dedicated public servant. And I hope that the citizens of Rochester, Farmington, New Durham, Alton, Barnstead, and Gilmanton ask me to be their senator.
Thank you. Mr. Casey.
So I certainly had no intentions of ever running for public office. And, you know, I don't even know if it's in my makeup. But what I see in our community, which I love dearly, I think we need some common sense legislation and people up there that can cross the table. In my old job, and what I've done my whole life, is solve problems. I feel that, you know, when we have big problems, you know, I ran a pension fund. And, you know, I'm glad to say our pension fund is 107% funded. When I left in 2015, I worked with our employees through the tough times, and we were able to reduce wages and get our guys to work where they needed to be. And I took the heat from the boys to do that, because that's what you have to do. You know, I make big boy decisions, and I would seriously like to see, when I'm up at the State House, the only thing I'm having in mind are the residents of District 6 and what's important to them and the needs that they need to have taken care of, and how I can help them. And I can work across party lines. I'll tell you, my own party is not happy with a lot of the things and a lot of the positions that I've taken on legislation. And I don't care. It was the right thing to do in my feeling, and I will continue to do so.
Well, thank you very much to both of you for being here today. We certainly appreciate it. And once again, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsor for this evening's event, Eastern Propane and Oil. They've done a great job in supporting this forum this evening. Also want to thank the City of Rochester for the use of their facilities and their assistance. Certainly want to thank Tim Kremen of Kremen Creative for taping this forum for rebroadcast between now and Election Day. We want to thank MetroCast for the rebroadcast of this forum. Obviously want to thank the Chamber of Commerce staff, Laura Ring and Caitlin Marble, for their help in coordinating this event. Want to thank Blaine Cox and Lisa Stanley for manning the phones and the computer for the email questions that came through this evening. We also want to thank all that attended this evening for supporting our candidates. I definitely want to thank our media panel, Dave Andreessen, Liz Mark, and Matt Mowry, for your great questions, not only for this forum, but for the State Representative Forum as well. And I also want to thank both of our candidates, Mr. Gray and Mr. Casey, for taking the time this evening to share their thoughts and philosophies on how they would serve us as Senator for District 6. A few chamber announcements I want to make mention of. Coming up on Friday, December 7th, the annual tree lighting ceremony will be held at Central Square in downtown Rochester from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. This event is